looking at the matchup against the Orlando Magic, they're 0-3 at the time of this the time of the slide created. Knicks 1-1. You can see starting for the Knicks, we know the starting lineup: Jalen, Fournier, R.J. Barrett, Randall, Mitch. And then for the Orlando Magic, you've got Cole Anthony, Terrence Ross, Wagner, Paolo Banchero, and then also Carter. Well, what's his face? I always mess up his name, and I got him in fantasy. I just call him WCJ. Wendell Carter Jr.
Wendell Carter, yeah.
All right, so Foxy.
Junior.
Yeah, Wendell Carter Jr. So, Foxy, if the Knicks are going to come out of this game victorious, which we both believe that they have to come out of this game victorious, especially seeing what we have on the slate after this game, what is going to be the main focus of this starting unit, and how are they going to try and expose some of the Orlando Magic's weakness?
Well, this is a game that, Terrence Ross is a perennial Knick killer. And like you said earlier, I wish Grimes was around because he may be lighting up Evan. But otherwise, and Cole Anthony, for the Knicks not picking him, he always gets up for Knicks games. And say Wagner. I like how you say Wagner. It sounds really good.
Wagner.
I always think of Apocalypse Now when I think of Wagner. So, but Apollo, we'll talk about in a little while. In a lot of ways, as crazy as it sounds, he's a replica of Julius Randle.
Yeah.
He's a below the rim guy. Mm-hmm. He's not a high flyer, but he's got sweet jumper. He's 6'10" with a 7'1" wingspan, and Randle's 6'9" with a 7-foot wingspan. So that's going to be a really good matchup, and hopefully Mitch gets back into the groove against Carter. But I think we're going to do well. But our second team should really light them up. They're missing a lot of players due to injury. So this is absolutely a win we have to get because, like he said earlier in the broadcast about the games coming up after the Charlotte game, one game after the we get into the crazy part of our schedule. So we match up well with their first team, but we got to just be cognizant that Terrence Ross always kills us, man. Don't put us in a position where they could come back. We got to play hard, play good defense, and that second team got to really destroy their second team because there's really no competition between our second team and their second team.
Similar to this matchup against Detroit, there's some key young players you have to be mindful of, but as long as we play, the start is tough. I think the second unit is definitely going to be the spot where you see that large talent gap.
Cole scored 25 the other night, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's averaging almost 20 for the season in the first 2-3 games.
With Suggs hurting that ankle, he's going to be playing a lot more.
Yeah, he's going to be getting some extended play time. You mentioned Paolo, and he's definitely somebody that's gifted offensively, but he's not the greatest defensively. I think we saw the Celtics try and expose him in a few plays. So Julius Randle is definitely somebody that I think should come out and have himself a great game, whether that be scoring or finding teammates and setting guys up, because I think Paolo Banchero is going to have his hands full trying to stick with Julius Randle. So Julius Randle may see a situation where he'll get some double teams, and off of that he just has to make some good decisions, and I think that might be one of the matchups to really keep your eye on. Who can win that matchup? For the most part, Julius Randle seems like emotionally he kind of steps up for these type of matchups. You've seen him against Sabonis where he stepped up and he battled him hard. You've also seen situations where he goes up against guys like Siakam, other high profile power forward within the league, and he kind of tries to elevate his game. Hopefully he can do the same against Banchero, but do it while staying within the flow of the game and not trying to overstep. Also, you look at Jalen Brunson, viewing us as having an edge when it comes to the point guard matchup. I mean, for years we've looked at the point guard position and gone into games where we felt like we didn't have the edge in the matchup, and I think now coming into this game is going to be one of many where we feel like Jalen Brunson definitely gives us that edge offensively. And you look at R.J. Barrett, he's going to have some difficulties, I think, with Wagner. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup, having to deal with some of his size and offensive skill set. So I think the starters matchup, decent. They're young, they're not as battle tested as some of the guys you see on our team, like Randall, Brunson, and RJ Fournier, what he's been able to do overseas. But I think there's still a lot of young talent on that starting lineup for the Magic. And if we don't punch them in the mouth early like we did with the Pistons and let them stay close, you have the ability for guys like Cole Anthony, Terrence Ross, or even Paolo to really hurt us. So as long as we try and maintain a lead and not try and let this get too close in the fourth quarter, I think we should be in a good spot.
Yeah, I think Tibbs will echo exactly what you just said. Treat them the way the Pistons are. Don't give them any confidence. Punch them right in the face, and don't let up. Just ground and pound. Just beat them. And I think Randall and Paolo will negate each other. They'll both score a little over 20 points. So, they'll both equal each other out. So it'll come down to other guys. And I think Jalen and Cole, the same thing. I think you touched it. RJ Wagner will be a really key matchup, with his length, Wagner's length and his smarts. He had a facial the other night, man. Fake one way at the top of the key, one dribble, and bam, he jammed it. So, pardon me, it'll be a good matchup. But like I said, when we go to the next slide, you'll see our second team should eat, and that's, I think, is going to be the key to our matchup. Our bench versus their bench, the same thing. Our bench absolutely annihilated, like he's just said, the Detroit bench.
Yep, and speaking of that bench, you can see Grimes still expected to be out. So we're looking at D-Rose, Quick, Cam, Obi, and iHeart. And then you're looking at the Magic. They've got Hampton, Harris, Okiki, and Mo Bamba. Mo... All right, so Foxy, I know you already mentioned that the second unit is going to be a depleted unit, and that we should run them off the court. You can see that they're missing Suggs, they're missing Fultz, they're missing Isaacs, Harris, and they're missing Franz Wagner's brother Mo Wagner. Yeah. So you've pretty much said a lot when it comes to the second unit and how overmatched the Magic second unit will probably be against the Knicks. But anything you want to add before we move on?
No, just Tibbs, take advantage of that. Keep your first team fresh. Don't use that second team to beat them, and let the first team come out fresh. Keep them fresh and use this roster smart. So this is absolutely a win we should have. You're 0-3. Let's make it 0-4.
Facts. We surveyed 100 people. Says Mitch gives the Magic trouble historically. Big Chino.
There's always teams like that every season after season give you a headache. And like we said, Terrence Ross always seems to come up big against us.
Facts. Keep Giggles says Ross can make 7 threes, but he can also go 1 of 9. So remember that. Yeah, he can be feast or famine.